I think we could do something special here, fellas. I think we could do something that really honors what the Kansas City Chiefs did to the Las Vegas Raiders this weekend. I think we ought to go ahead and do like 3 quarters of great show and then just kind of mail in the last 15 minutes or so.
Yes.
I can be both like Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew. I'm just starting the show off. Maybe I'm Creed Humphrey and Hunter Norzad. Maybe that's better. But I'm willing to help do that. Tag yourself. Who's who? What's your first 3 quarters player? How are we gonna get through this? Seth, do you feel like you've got 3 quarters of effort in you?
You know what? I am going to be a combination of Kingsley Suamataia and Creed Humphrey climbing to that next level to erase your defense on a screen. So I'm going to be an amalgamation. That can't be the right word. Of those two.
Well, Nate, I'm not even going to make you answer in this cold open because we're going to the show right after this because I don't want to spoil the last quarter of this show. But Seth, Kingsley Suamataia was out there 100% of the time, and it doesn't sound to me like you're going to be our Kingsley Suamataia today. Racing. We are ripping. We are roaring. Rashee Rice returns, and the Raiders have been put in the dirt in a way that I'll say this. I think I've already said it once this week. 31-0 does not do that game justice. That was a 62-0 effort from the Chiefs and Raiders, respectively, and it happened at noon. We could kick our feet up by like 2 o'clock Central in terms of the fate of that game.
Yeah,
you were at Arrowhead for a noon kickoff, and if you wanted to, you could have had most of your gamer sections done by 2.
Yeah, it became quite evident at halftime that this was going to be a nice and tidy game for us. I really appreciate the Chiefs coaching staff saying the moment we get in the red zone, we are going to feed Rashee Rice. We will get him a touchdown. We will do the thing as to why you even showed up to this vast parking lot today. It's to see Rashee Rice, play and get the ball. And look, even the Raiders did their part because they came out in the second half and they said, "We don't want to be here. We don't want to be here, man. I just want to go home. I just, we beat the Titans last week. I don't want these problems anymore, man. I just, man." Ladies and gentlemen, it was a chore. I know Seth is on the other side of this, but it was a chore to rewatch that game. A real chore. Because I was like, I have to because it's my job. But if it wasn't my job, I don't need to see the Raiders really anytime soon if they're going to play like that. They just, how can I even, I know Pro Football Focus gave Chris Jones the highest grade. How? He didn't play. He kind of played, but he didn't play.
Since we're going to start off with a Chris Jones reference, I just have to note that he collected what I've always said for years on Times Ours and Now Only Weird Games. The manliest way to sack a quarterback is with his own offensive lineman. And that used to be an Alan Bailey special, right? Like once a year, all that power that Alan Bailey had stored up in, seriously, probably the most muscled pro I've ever seen. Maybe besides Aaron Donald, maybe. But Alan Bailey, like, you had to see it in person. It was freakish. Once a year, he would just maul the guard back into the quarterback, and it was hilarious. Chris Jones did that, had a bunch of other good snaps. It's not that hard to get a good PFF grade, Nate.
Unless you're the greatest quarterback of all time, in which case it's impossible.
No, look, have less than 30 snaps. Don't have anything that looks like wildly misassignments. Maybe, pressure the quarterback and sack him. And you're just, as Hugh Jazz says, you might as well be Reggie White. You just might as well just, absolutely destroy. Look, the reason why Geno Smith was rated so high, guys, is because he was trying to do that with Chris Jones down his neck.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah, that's different.
I will say, if you want to know how, easy this game was for the defense in some ways, Chris Jones for years. I mean, he's on. He's getting into his mid-30s. He plays a ton of snaps. He plays a really tough position. For like the last 2 years, it's been a running joke between the three of us where we've been like in post-game pressers. We're like, dude, Chris Jones is dog tired. Like, if you don't think Chris Jones gives his all, he really has nothing left by the time every game is done. This was the first presser post-game in years where he had a lot of energy. And he was like, I played like 23 snaps. Yeah. This dude's like, he played less than like a half of football. And so he must have felt amazing. Like, I think all the Chiefs starters are like, I was just kind of getting warmed up. Because even, maybe not the offense, because they were on the field a lot.
Well, right,
but,
Seth, the Chiefs' second drive was 17 plays.
Oh.
They don't even go.
For comparison.
They barely go that high on the long drive drill just once in training camp.
No,
I think they capped out about 16 this year, 16 straight reps.
The Raiders were done pretty much after that drive. I mean, that was really, after the first drive for both teams, I was like, but I mean, hey, we already saw Jacksonville where the Chiefs looked that dominant and then just started doing a bunch of weird stuff. Right. And Jacksonville's Jacksonville's better than Vegas, but not anymore. That Jacksonville, maybe that was the final wake-up call they needed. Was Jacksonville's comedy of errors. And now that loss looks worse after what the Rams did to Jacksonville. But whatever. We always knew they should have won that game by 2 touchdowns. But
someone suggested that was a good lesson for the team. And guess what? They've played 2 complete professional football games. But
you said week 1 was a good lesson too. Like, how many lessons did these people need? Oh, good Lord! But
they needed 3. They needed 3 lessons to really. Now, part of that is
going to be so funny after the Colts game.
Look, man. Look. Hey,
one more lesson. One more lesson.
I mean, look.
So another thing that made. The only thing that could have made Sunday better would be the Giants not doing something ridiculous. But whatever. The Chiefs play the Broncos twice. Their fate's in their own hands. But one thing I would just say, when you look at the last several weeks of Chiefs football, and then even looking at the Jags game, which all of us afterwards we were like, the offense actually looked really good, guys, and a bunch of weird stuff happened. Now, last week's game against the Lions, also watching the Lions tune up a good Buccaneers team. Well, the Bucs have injuries. Yeah, but I mean, they did have several of their receivers were back to being healthy, and the Chiefs didn't have Rashee Rice or Josh Simmons, and they beat the Lions handily. The Lions are easily better than the Bucs, and that doesn't mean the Chiefs would be better than the Bucs because styles make fights. But that win, because after that game, everyone's like, oh, of course the Chiefs went up and down the field in the defense. They have all these injuries. They still had all those injuries. Right. And apparently that doesn't just mean automatic 30-plus points.
Right.
So it was...
The
that's
Lions did that without Brian Branch, right? I didn't see a second of that game last night. He didn't appeal that suspension, right?
Oh, that's true. So
yeah.
I mean,
they were even more shorthanded.
Yeah, I was about to make that point. And the guy who, maybe threw a... Well, we're not calling it a slap, but we're also not calling it a punch. But it was also warranted enough to be suspended because he did it in front of national television cameras after the game.
Well, honestly, with the way Brian Branch, who's a great player, by the way, with the way he played against the Chiefs, I mean, that might have been a net positive for the Lions. But
who are you, Louis Riddick?
Yeah, you've really flamed a player badly. Stop it. You've really flamed a player badly when later on you issue a really long tweet saying, hey, fellas, it's going to be okay. It's not bad.
I am glad the Lions won so they can move on to a different game to talk about.
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
The other thing, too, is as much as the Lewis, this is the only time I've actually commented on the Louis Riddick thing because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Because kids, when I grew up, and again, Brian Branch, very good football player, it's not just you. 2 things. It's not just you, sir. Nobody played well on the Lions defense. That also includes your best defensive player, Aiden Hutchinson, who got kind of like hemmed up, right? And also, they did have injuries. So maybe you were asked to do more than you would do in a game because, hey, you're the best guy we got in the secondary, and they got a bunch of available options. That doesn't even include Rashee Rice. But fellas, when I was brought up in this league, when I came up in the 90s, when I came up with NFL films, he died today on VHS, like that's what the kids, that's what we call NFL hits, kids, is that man died today, volume 3. And we purchased it, and they let us do that, and
they sold it.
And that was to promote the game? Okay, whatever. Anyway, when that happened, I was always told that the eye in the sky does not lie. And all Louis Riddick was the sky. And look what? It didn't lie one time in them clips.
Yeah. If it lied, that would have been the response, would have been, well, that's not true. And that's not what the response was. The response was, well, that's rude. Here's my favorite stat. I think you guys have seen it because I tweeted it after I saw it and realized I did the math and figured it out. Here's my favorite original stat from Chiefs Raiders. Robert Tonyan, if you were to watch the All-22, if you wanted to go back and review the snaps and evaluate some players, you would be able to see more plays involving Robert Tonyan than plays involving Chris Jones. The percentages are even funnier. Yes. Robert Tonyan played 24 snaps, 30% of the offensive snaps. Chris Jones played 22 snaps, 63% of the defensive snaps. It's just the wildest, most lopsided game we've seen in a long time. Nate Tice added, the Raiders ran 30 plays against the Chiefs, the fewest amount of plays an NFL offense has run in a game since at least 2002 per True Media. The reason it's at least 2002 is because True Media's data before that gets kind of sketchy. And I think he said on Football 301, I think he said there was an expansion year Browns team that may have been below 30 snaps. But I think it's a little fuzzy around then. And that's who the Raiders are neck and neck there with. I mean, it was a total and utter beatdown. Outside, guys, of the things that we're going to get to here of Rashee Rice, Brashard Smith, and the defense, this is kind of backwards. I kind of want your, oh, well, we didn't get to that during today's show thought at the beginning because we're going to spend some real time in the offense and in the defense later on. Is there anything that you feel like hasn't gotten enough conversation through these last couple of days, things that we saw, things that we learned in that game? I'll let you guys think about it and mention the offensive line, who is not getting highlighted here today. Right. Not only do you lose Trey Smith with the back issue and Mike Caliendo steps in, you just have at least two and maybe more, but at least two extremely competent backups with Jalen Moore and Mike Caliendo. And I just don't think I'm going to quit Wanya Morris. I just think I'll be one of the last guys on that bandwagon where when he's healthy, I think we agree on this.
Yes.
When he's healthy, he can go out there and play a few games for you and he can step in. I think it was, and look, the Raiders lost Max Crosby around halftime and he didn't return. Malcolm Kuntz still out there, I guess, but obviously the Raiders couldn't do anything defensively. But that has to be some credit to the Chiefs' offensive line and Mahomes keeping every bit of that comfort and that confidence behind a banged-up version of the offensive line when he never really found that last year. That's my thing that we're not going to talk about in depth today. I'm curious if you guys have something like that.
Right.
I think the offensive line is a good thing. Shout out to Jalen Moore playing well for the second week in a row. This time having to deal with Crosby. And Crosby eventually went out, but the game was well in hand by then.
Yep.
And we'll talk about this in a bit. Like there's a play or two where it shows up who he's not. But he is an above average left tackle. There are so many teams out there. What would you have given for the Chiefs to swap in an above-average left tackle last year? That would have changed everything. And so he played overall well, and that'll get a little harder as games continue to stack up. If they do, a lot of unanswered questions. I think we're just going to breeze right by that because that's what Andy Reid wants everyone to do. And no one knows anything, so we don't need to waste time on that. So, I mean, it'll get harder. People will find tendencies and stuff. But the thing is, his first two games came against, and they move around a little, or even quite a bit in Crosby's case, against Hutch and Crosby. That's like the white dude murderer's row of edge rushers in the NFL. Well, no, there's the Bosas. Man, What is up with edge rush? You know what? Let's not do this, Seth.
Oh, come on.
No.
I'm starting. Sorry, I'm George Karloftis' agent over here, and I'd like to be invited. I don't know that we're not getting an Rush
George
war,
George
but I'd
comes.
like to be invited.
George is allowed in the club.
Where's my guy Trey? Where's Trey Hendrickson?
Trey is in there. Really? There's something
yeah,
interesting
forget
here.
about him, yeah.
We're onto something. We should circle back to that at some point. So that you're absolutely right. Deserves a shout out. I think one thing that hasn't been talked about a lot because people have accepted it as fact before.
Why are you reading the comments, man? You're in the middle of a
I shouldn't read the
sentence.
comments.
Stop reading the comments. You're in the middle of talking.
Something that's been accepted as a fact before it really happened was that Noel Williams had really won like a full-fledged cornerback 3 role, even though he really hadn't had a game where he was truly the third corner and saw like. Thank you, Joseph Jackson. Joe, I'm trying to record a podcast here. Stop saying funny things in the comments. Dang it.
Can you tell me what Joseph said? I can't see it.
Look, Joseph, he's not white. He's clear.
Yeah, I'm closer to clear. Look, the quarter Japanese.
The comment, so we don't have to check off the box, was Seth is the white Josh Brisco. I don't know what that means.
And so, the interesting thing to me is that Noel Williams, people were like, oh, well, he took Christian Fulton's roster spot, which that's still something we probably should talk about at some point. Healthy scratch Christian Fulton. If I were Clark Harden, I'd be very upset.
I don't know, guys. I mean, there's some things going on. I mean,
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll get to it in a couple weeks.
What's going on? Is he... Okay.
Well,
But
hey, we'll get to it, you know?
Yeah,
We'll
Thanksgiving. Well,
So I would say before that.
So Noel Williams, the key here is the Spags has been running a lot of 3 safety stuff, has been playing some other guys, has been doing a lot of 3 linebacker sets in certain games. Noel Williams played like 4 snaps just like 2 weeks ago against the Jags. So this idea that he'd like stolen the CB3 spot, that just wasn't true.
I mean, not stolen, but developing into.
But not even really, because instead what was happening is they were using a ton of other personnel groupings. And so they really weren't utilizing the CB3 position the way they had in previous years.
I'm just saying from a roster construction.
Right, and I'm just saying you're wrong. So the thing
this is a lot of short
now,
one thoughts.
Well, I think things might change, Seth, to where, you know.
And so
I mean, from the roster, the way it's constructed, the way it's managed, the way it's tinkered with over the course of, the middle months of the season.
You think the Bengals are going to trade Trey Hendrickson for Christian Fulton straight up? You think they do that?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all.
No, you certainly didn't.
So anyway, the low-key takeaway from the Raiders game is that
what I asked about 6 minutes ago?
Yes. Is that previously people have kind of said, oh, Noel Williams has been given the CB3 spot. He hadn't yet. That might be in the works. That might be roster construction stuff, but it hadn't happened
They're definitely
yet.
got their eye on it. Definitely got their eye on it. Just sniffing around. Just sniffing. Just percolating. Letting the veteran get some time.
Rachel says Nate is turning into a mosquito. And I'll tell you what, I think from now on that does need to be what the Nate voice is him slowly turning into a mosquito. Just,
Am I the Chris Rock and B movie? I'm just saying. All I'm saying is, if Christian Fulton was a healthy scratch, maybe they want him to be healthy for another reason. Just saying. You want to play Christian? No? Okay.
Is someone going to get suspended or something?
I don't know. Well, there's this other mechanism that happens in a couple weeks.
Oh.
We want you to get healthy.
Oh.
Hey, have me help. Let me know if you need anything between now and November 4th.
So I'm calling all Chiefs fans because you could be on the field at Seth. Don't look at me like I cut you off in the middle of your point. I could have cut you off 10 minutes ago. I wanted to do this 5 minutes ago. I'm calling all Chiefs fans. I have an incredible thing that you can sign up for, an incredible opportunity that's in front of you. I'm genuinely excited to tell you about this because it is a remarkable opportunity. And I'm sorry that Seth Keysor has made it so hard for you to be able to hear about this opportunity. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to take a quick timeout. I'm going to mute Seth and Nate, and I'm going to talk about Rashee Rice by myself for 40 straight minutes when we come back.
Chiefs Kingdom, I have got a question for you. What is your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, I can confidently say that my favorite touchdown, it's the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From the first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. From spreads to money lines, same-game parlays, regular parlays, you want it, DraftKings has got it. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, and you should too. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Let's talk about the return of Rashee Rice, the double R and the double scores in this game. Obviously, there are a lot of things about his play, what it means for the rest of the offense. Seth, I guess I'm going to give you the talking stick back again here now, and I might set a timer. I might start holding an egg timer in my hand, and I'll just give you.
Am I going to be able to get through it?
That's what I'm saying. Is I'm going to mute Nate for 90 seconds, and I'm going to give you 90 seconds. I'm going to mute you for 90 seconds, and I'm going to just embrace my inner Tony reality. I just need a bigger. If I had a board and buttons I could press, this would be a lot easier. No, I'll let you talk untimed about the return of Rashee Rice. Here's the thing, Seth. There's a lot of ways you can go about it. One being like, oh, Rashee Rice is back. They have the number one receiver. Awesome. Some of it could be the specifics of what he did against the Raiders, what it opens up for everybody else. I don't think he did a lot of new stuff against the Raiders, and it was still awesome. Like, it just, yeah. It's exciting. There's a lot to pick from. Where do you want to begin?
I will begin because some of the ways that he affected the game are obvious and things that we've seen before. You know, hey, we're going to spread him out, isolate him on a linebacker. Whew, that looks nice. It's so fun. You know, we're going to run him on a sweep. We're going to have some of those quick screens to him, things like that. I'll focus on one thing that was different, and not just from what we've seen from Rice previously, but what we've seen from any wide receiver in this offense this year. You're in the red zone. You're near the goal line. Man, you know, they've been playing a lot of man in the red zone, and that's kind of tripped our guys up because you can't run mesh as effectively, and that's all we run against man coverage for some reason, which, by the way, changed against the Raiders, but they've hardly played any man outside the red zone. But anyway, you know what would be great is if we just had a backside X receiver to put on the boundary who Patrick Mahomes trusts to get a great release off the line, run a beautiful back shoulder fade, and then show late hands to where the corner has no chance at defending it. What is that? Oh, Rashee's back? He did that all the time in college, especially his last year. He's actually, and he even said this after the game, he told Pat he's more of a fade guy than anything else. Well, I guess we'll give him a shot. And that was a new thing in terms of their usage for him. That's wide receiver 1 stuff. That's, hey, you're our guy. You go win them one-on-one. We're going to send everyone else over here. They got no choice but to ISO you. And he runs great slants. So fades are, in the red zone at least, back shoulder fades, that is. Those are a natural counter to that. He had this great stutter step release that forced the corner to get his hand out there, and his bounce was off. And he just ran. The spacing was perfect. And then what I really loved, and this is one of the plays that I focused in on when I wrote about him right after the game, he waited to the absolute last second to get his hands up for that ball. And when you're running a back shoulder fade, the corner's playing you and not the ball. So he's watching for those hands, when to get his hands up. And if he doesn't get them up until right when the ball arrives, and you got to have strong hands, great reflexes to do that. It was a great wide receiver 1 type play. It was one of the few where it was a little bit different than what they did with him last year. Last year they did a little bit of it, but like in 2023, that's not a ton of what you saw from him. And it was building on midway through 2023. He had a touchdown against the Vikings near the goal line as well, but this was on a slant. Basically, what he's showing off here is he can win either direction. You know, but the way we talk about Chris Jones can win to either gap, and that makes him so tough to block. Rice was showing that off. Now, against bad competition, sure. But that would be like the first place I would start, because all the others, I would say all that, plus he looked just like Rashee Rice in every other way. He looks like Rashee Rice plus. And that was without them really unrolling. That was like the one new thing they rolled out with him. Other than maybe, I love that after they were trying to give him the ball, is we're going to run a fake screen to him, and you're going to leave Noah Gray wide open.
Yeah,
that was fun too. That was fun too.
I do think that X receiver stuff is fascinating. And like you mentioned, Seth, like that actually was in the scouting report in college coming into the draft. And then it wasn't what the Chiefs went to. And now maybe there's another gear for him. I think that's a huge deal in terms of like what his ceiling is in the NFL wide receiver hierarchy. But Nate, what stood out to you in Rice's return?
This is like coming back from summer break, and the professor hands you the syllabus, and the first day is just, I hand you the syllabus, get out of my class. And day 2 is, here is the most basic, rudimentary level stuff we're gonna do. And we're only gonna do it for one day, boys and girls. You know, but I at least have to give you guys a baseline, and then we can progress to like 201, 301, 401 type stuff. Guys, the Raiders are so bad that he never had to run a route that really required any sophistication beyond what Seth just told us. I know somebody in the comments said the no-look pass was incredible. It was. And I get the sense that if you're the Washington Commanders, that was cool. He, A, wasn't on the field for half the game. B, he didn't play in the fourth quarter. C, he didn't really run an intermediate route whatsoever. D, he was still awesome. Well, now what? So we just saw the first block, which again is targeted 10 times, 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Forget the yardage. It's just,
how many? You said on the radio today, Nate, how many routes he ran, or it was something like 15. I don't remember if it was 14 or 16. I think it was.
Yeah, I put it in my hold on. I put it in my ESPN article. I believe it was 16, but I'm going to go back.
Okay, close enough. Close enough.
Next gen stats. Yeah,
but he ran fewer than 20 routes and got 10 targets.
And again, I had the chart up earlier too, which is wild, guys. He does not run, which we know he can, and that, again, that's fine. But like, yeah, he doesn't run like anything that's like 10 yards downfield. It's just,
and they did hit him on that one. What I can't remember when that was last year.
Yeah, he ran. Technically, he ran. This is after the catch, but in terms of routes between the line of scrimmage and 10 yards, which is when you're just now getting into like the intermediate part of the field for the passing concepts, he ran goose eggs. 0 routes that were 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. He caught the ball, let me say this again, 7 times on 16 routes. And via Next Gen Stats, many of his 16 routes matched him up against linebackers Devin White and Eldon Roberts.
That's called the you can't play certain zone looks against us anymore look. Because unless you're in dime, it's really hard to avoid having your linebacker drag to that area of the field and being isolated on him like
Correct.
that. And he separates from it in a way that even like Worthy and Brown are both really quick, but they don't separate from that the same way. And so that should have looked familiar and if it did, it should have looked like what you saw repeatedly in week 1 of the 2024 season, where he had probably 5 catches for 80 yards like that against the Ravens.
Correct.
And so I mean, it's helpful when you're playing Devin White, but they've got a proof of concept of it. And one thing they love to do is, maybe have 12 personnel or even 21 personnel and then put him in the slot while spreading everyone out.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you've got 3 linebackers on the field. Must be nice. And so that's a lot of fun. I would just note, Nate talked about some deeper routes last year. It wasn't just like the deep shot to Cincy. He ran a couple deep crossers against Atlanta.
Yep.
He had a couple. They were really doing a few more intermediate digs, crossers, comebacks, that sort of stuff. And they didn't even have to show that, which is just delightful.
And ladies and gentlemen, not one. Not one. I mean, again, it's just the most simplistic version of of what he can do. And there's so many more layers, steps, building blocks, whatever, phrase you want to get to. There's so much that he can do. And one thing that I thought was very fascinating was his willingness, Rashee, after the game, his willingness to share very prominently. I think he did this even on Friday, too, before the game. Guys, the playbook's no problem for me. I want to make it very clear to everyone. I came back. I've been gone, 7 weeks? Playbook's not an issue. I would have been out there more, but coach was just being smart, and we were just matriculating the ball down the field. And, my whole persona now is everybody got to eat, so I can't, be the lone person eating for much of the game. So we got to get Taekwon a reception. We got to get Noah Gray a reception. There's another touchdown for Hollywood Brown. You're welcome. But the playbook's no problem. So if the playbook's no problem, and he's so versatile that you could use him in a number of different ways, well, what are his route concepts? What are the things that I can eliminate as a DB based on alignment, formation, down at distance? They didn't show anything, and he was still an impactful player. Think about that.
And Seth, this is something you may have kind of touched on it here in your open, but you wrote about it more in the newsletter of the connection with Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want to put Travis Kelce's name on Rashee Rice. I think that's one of the only ways that we can set Rashee Rice up for failure at this point, is to view him through the lens of Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Right. But the option route stuff appears to be there. I might tweak Nate's question to ask you directly, what isn't Rashee Rice's role? And I know some of the obvious things. Those are things that Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton are doing, and Hollywood Brown can do some of. And now there are enough redundancies that I think I think Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy played for 5 or 6 snaps together in this game. 4, Nate. Okay, and I think one with a penalty that didn't count.
Yeah, so that's why it's 4. Yeah.
So they will obviously be able to stress out defenses with all 3 of them. But if all you're doing is just tagging Hollywood Brown and Tyquan Thornton in for Juju Smith-Schuster and Xavier Worthy, bad news for an opposing defensive backfield. So, Seth, that's not a question. It's just me talking. I'm excited. I'm genuinely so excited.
It's worth getting excited about, and that's where the development to a bunch of things so far this year, other than Worthy's injury, that's been tough.
Right.
But a bunch of things have started to swing the Chiefs' way this year. You want to know a play that I'm really excited about? Xavier Worthy in the red zone rather than trying to stretch the field, running a curl right in front of the goal line and creating separation intermediate. Yeah, he double clutched the ball, but it was a great route and he created separation.
And Pat threw his entire body into his chest.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, no, that was, man, Pat had a couple of those where he was like, that Brown touchdown, like when you saw it on the replay, that people think that they could like just catch a foot, and a lot of people could, but some people, I would not want to catch a football thrown by Pat Mahomes if he was firing it like that, because that would hurt so bad. But that was I'm going to win intermediate with the threat of my speed from Worthy. That's something you want to see, the development of him. Hollywood Brown looking fully healthy, like a good complementary guy who can win against man. Oh, hey, they're playing man on the goal line. Mahomes gets to matchup hunt. Romo said it really well in the broadcast. He gets to look around. Oh, man, that nickel corner they got in there, he's not ready to defend. Yeah, sure, Hollywood Brown's our wide receiver 3, but that corner should be wide, CB6 on someone's team. And that's how it always goes. And so it's just nice and easy slant. I mean, it just looks so pretty. So that's gone their way, right, so far. Rice looking how he has gone their way. But 2 things have gone their way. Juju Smith-Schuster looking better than he did last year. He looks a little quicker, a little more fresh. He doesn't have to play as much. They're not asking him to do too much, although he's still on the field quite a bit. Right. He blocks his tail off. And makes, Brian Branch.
Doesn't Brian Branch know that?
And so he executes stuff well. And then Tyquan Thornton emerging as a legitimate deep threat who can line up on the boundary, eat some of those contact snaps so Rashee Rice doesn't have to. And you've got a legitimate threat on the outside there. All this stuff has really gone their way in a way that really allows them. There are numerous 11 personnel iterations that I'm really happy with Rice back. Because it's not just Rice, Worthy, and Brown. I'm really happy with the various possibilities of Rice, Juju, and Worthy.
Yeah.
Because, man, a little wide receiver screen out of trips there. Because Rice blocks really well, too. He had a great block on the reverse or end around to Worthy.
To Worthy, yeah.
Him and Juju, corners do not want to see those two coming because they will block you into oblivion. That has really intriguing ideas there, especially at what you can test intermediate and shallow. Even if they're their worst, quote-unquote, 3, if you have Tyquan Thornton and Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster on the field, you're still better off than you were at any point last year.
Yep.
It all looks good, and it all really works together in a way that's very complimentary. So that's really exciting.
Let's go ahead and take our second timeout here, and then we'll come back and talk more about Brashard Smith, what he is bringing to the Chiefs' screen game right now, and that other gear the Chiefs' offense is going to have to be able to access for a while. It's very exciting, and we're going to talk about it right after this.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
You can lead it off again because you've written about it. I know Nate is going to have plenty to add, but you took a closer look at what Brashard Smith was able to do in the screen game. He got a ton of carries with Gardner Minshew out there in the fourth quarter, backup O-line and all of that. Not the topic of conversation here, specifically what he's doing and what it means for Andy Reid's screen game which for the last couple years has not been as impactful or as explosive as it was at its peak. So what was it missing, and is Brashard Smith the answer?
He's a big part of the answer. So for the last year and for parts of this year, the screen game has been gone to a lot less than what we got used to. You got to remember, when we first started watching Andy Reid in Kansas City, the running back was Jamal Charles.
Yeah.
And the quarterback was Alex Smith. And so you did anything you could to get Jamal Charles the ball. That was obvious.
Can we actually, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you, Seth. Can we just take a second to think about Jamal Charles?
Yes. Literally one of the maybe 5 greatest runners to ever live. And if I could change one player's health, he would be near the top of the list in terms of to have like a 12-year career. Or if I could pick someone who would be drafted in like 2017 or 2018. Unbelievable.
Hold on, I'm not
player.
done. Okay, now I'm done. Go ahead. Thank
All
you.
right. So here's the thing. There were a few things that went on here that made the screen game largely vanish. It started to not vanish, but it wasn't used nearly as much because it wasn't nearly as effective. And Andy, contrary to popular belief, including by me often, he doesn't keep doing things that aren't working. So here's the problem if you just really sum it up to the last 2 years with the screen game. There wasn't enough of a downfield threat to have teams back off to where teams are really playing for that screen, which makes it a lot tougher because you got guys penetrating early, flying towards the sideline, flying toward the ball. Protection issues that already existed with the offensive line. If they know you've got to run a screen because you can't protect, that's another. So the wide receiver issue, the protection issue, and then the running back issue. The best screen running back they've had since Damian Williams has been Jet McKinnon, who I appreciate everything he contributed in 2023, but he didn't have nearly the explosion he did early on. Right? So he was still a good screen player, but not quite as good as he was in like 2022 or 2021. Like he used to be faster. So now the offensive line playing a lot better. Wide receivers that stretch the field and Mahomes being able to throw down the field. Because that was the other reason why teams could really cheat towards the line of scrimmage.
Yes,
the offensive line failures meant you didn't have to fear the deep ball. So now teams have to fear the deep ball again. The Chiefs are generating explosives again. And then Brashard Smith. The running backs, Pacheco is not, he's fine as a receiver, but he's not a great screen guy because he's not particularly smooth in space and he's not particularly comfortable. He'll run straight ahead and he'll run hard, but he is not a guy who's really comfortable in space setting up blockers, and he's not smooth and fluid in his change of direction. He loses speed that way. Kareem Hunt is smooth and fluid and changes direction well and knows how to follow blockers, but he has no explosion. So neither of them can run screens as well as you'd like. And that's where, with everything else going right, then you insert Brashard Smith, and suddenly you're converting on a 3rd and 13 to start the second half. And that's a play I broke down in a ton of detail in the Chief of the North newsletter. Subscribe. Anyway, one thing that I tell people to try to do when you're trying to figure out what a player brings to the table as part of a play is try to imagine if it was a little bit different. And so on that particular play, they blocked it up beautifully. It was set up so well. Andy has not lost his fastball with these screen designs because honestly, like 2 of them, they were one tiny missed block from like a 40-yard house at call. And so it was really good to watch. But I would just say, so like on that 3rd and 13, there was one safety who's way, way deep who is unblocked. There's another safety who's trying to come across the field who, in theory, is going to try to meet Brashard Smith before he gets the first down marker. Meanwhile, the other safety is heading straight towards Brashard Smith. And you see, as Smith, he sets up, it's Creed and Suamataia in space. Caliendo's kind of sealing off a pursuing defender on the other side. He starts off just a little step to the outside to set up his blocks in space, which he's comfortable doing. That keeps those 2 guys outside. Creed and Suamataia, who, by the way, Suamataia is legitimately, we'll see how the pass pro continues to develop, but he's been solid in pass pro, and he's a weapon in the screen game. Like, this is what they envisioned when they took him. He is a weapon, and so it's actually better at guard because him and
was
Creed,
that Xavier Worthy play against the Ravens? Was that a screen or was that he was in space chugging in front of him? I thought about that many times as Kingsley couldn't get on the field last year. Like, man, where's that guy? You can do that from a guard spot.
Yep, and it just helps take away some of his weaknesses and accentuates those strengths. Because Creed and Suamadi in space were great on these screens. So here's the thing where it makes a difference with Brashard Smith. The setup was great, and the idea with a screen like this is you're going to have a running back with a head of steam, one-on-one against a safety who, if you're really fast and he heads right towards you, he's going to have to flatten out his angle as he comes, and you're going to just run right by him. And that's exactly what happened there. Brashard Smith's explosion took that from a 7-yard or 8-yard gain, getting back some yardage on 3rd and long, to a 13-yard gain and a first down. He outran the angle of the safety. It was a bad angle. And by the way, it was a great block down the field. I couldn't tell. I didn't go back and look whether it was Hollywood or Worthy. I'm assuming Hollywood. But it was an undersized receiver. Maybe it was Thornton, who I was like, good block. Like, just stayed put. But that ability, that split second faster, killed an angle, and then also the other safety closing from across the field. You saw him actually midway through the play. He went from moving down the line of, or not the line of scrimmage, the first down marker, to then going wide, realizing I can't prevent the first down. I'm not going to get there in time. I'm in touchdown prevention mode if he gets past this other safety. That's the difference it makes with Brashard Smith. And you saw that he had a 17-yard gain later in the game where that ability to outrun the pursuit defenders matters so much, and then explode off of Jalen Moore, who had not slowed down. He's not as great in space. Like, he's not going to get downfield the way Simmons does, but he gets to the right spot, just takes a little longer. And that was the play that was, an iota from a touchdown. Andy never lost his fastball with screens, but the difference it makes when someone's 0.2 of a second faster and defenses can't tee off on it, and they're worried about the deep ball, all that stuff, that makes a huge difference. And what that means is, now that it's working again, Andy can make it a generous part of the playbook again, which means teams have to plan for it again, which we're back to the accordion thing, right? You want to defend the screens well? Okay, Worthy and okay, play single high then, because you need an extra defender, but now we're running deep on you. Oh, and Rashee's going to play around in the middle of the field. Like, there's so many options that teams have to prepare for, and they didn't have to prepare for as much when they knew the screen game wasn't as dangerous. It was so much fun to watch.
What's he do, Nate? Yeah.
To add to Seth's brilliant points is
I still love you, man.
No. I'm being legitimately serious. Sorry earlier, guys. I just needed to get some thoughts out. And that I thought you might think were worth being said. In a creative manner. Sorry for your ears. So based on everything Seth said, and the accordion specifically, and this is one of the things that this is why Andy Reid is the screen master. When he has the ability to do that, it screens playing off of previous screens, playing off of previous screens, playing off of screens we haven't shown in 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's so complex yet so simplified. Based on what Mike Caliendo told me even last year. Guys, I don't know if anyone, and this is all in relation to Brashard Smith's success so far and where it might be headed. I'm going to ask a question that I wonder if you guys know and the audience knows. It took 7 games. Think about what Trey Hendrickson did to this man in week 2 of his professional career. To now 7 games in, against an overwhelmed opponent, we now have a Kingsley Suamataia celebration.
Yes.
Does anybody know what it is?
I remember seeing that he did it. I don't think he came up and did the first down
No,
again. But
he
I
doesn't
think Chris
do that.
Jones might have did one of those.
Yes.
I saw the video. Apparently, Xavier Worthy just did that because he didn't know what else to do, and that rules to me.
Correct. Yeah.
No, I don't remember what Kingsley did. I remember his arms going up. I think so.
It's what I like to call offensive line windshield wipers.
Oh, that's good.
He does first down.
That's right.
Nice. Well, you're wiping the bugs off the windshield,
Yes.
baby.
That's awesome.
First down that way. And because he is now playing with so much confidence, so much joy that you could see on tape using that athleticism. I know this sounds like blasphemy. He is a better player for the screen game right now than Joe Tooney was at any point last season.
And that's absolutely true. And everyone needs to hear what Nate is saying, what he's not saying. He's not saying Kingsley Suamedi is a better left guard or a better pass protector.
God,
he's not.
no.
But he's a better run blocker, and he's a more varied run blocker.
Yep.
And he is better in the screen game because he's more athletic, and he's powerful out in space. I know I have to go early. One final thought I wanted to leave you guys with. One extra thing. Nate talked about this, like building on the screen game, the iterations of it. Of the 4 screens they got him the ball on, because the other target that he had 4 catches on screens for 10 yards per catch, right?
Crazy.
2 of them came in 11 personnel, and he was aligned differently.
Right. He was
One
off
came
to
in-
the yeah.
One came out of 21 personnel, one came out of 12 personnel. And with the 21 and 12 personnel, you got 3 linebackers on the field, and then they just spread them out. Once he was aligned as a receiver in trips, which easy 5 yards, free money. And it was only 5 yards because the safety came up, made a great tackle. So good on him.
Right.
But he lined up once, basically kind of close to an H-back area, not quite. But he lined once in the backfield, but way off to the left, and lined up once as a traditional running back. The alignments and personnel playing that they can do, that is so much fun to watch. And I just can't wait to see what the unfolding of the offense looks like now that Andy really does have virtually all his guys. We'll see about Trey Smith, his back stuff. But even, with Caliendo, he's being asked to do things a little bit differently than he was last year.
Correct.
And that's a beautiful thing. Fellas, I will see you later. I cannot wait to see what you talk about next.
Like Seth has ever listened to this show for a second that he wasn't on it. That's insane. You can check out his piece on Rashee Rice and his piece on Brashard Smith, Chief of the North newsletter, mnchiefsfan.substack.com. Nate, he mentioned one thing there I wanted to ask you about. I think we'll probably just end up having a lot more on Thursday. Juwan Taylor left earlier than the rest of the starters. Or maybe he just left with the starters and then got an injury designation.
Right.
With a shoulder, not his usual knee thing. And then obviously Trey Smith left early with a back issue. I'm going to save the Omar Norman Lott thing to talk about the defense here. But anything right now, it's my read was that Juwan Taylor's thing, not
fine.
something to be concerned about. Great.
Yep.
Trey Smith.
Saw him after the game. Seemed fine.
Great. Excellent.
When it comes to Trey Smith, we did not see Trey Smith after the game. I'm imagining that's partly due to just trying to get treatment and trying to just, whenever you're dealing with back stuff, it's like, hey, stay off your feet if you can. Just rest up. So, I have the belief that Trey Smith will try to play Monday night's game against the Commanders. We'll see what his participation level is, even if, I think I said earlier today, even if it's limited on Thursday, which is technically their Wednesday, hey, that's fine. You just hope that it gets better and they sort of ramp him up for Monday's game. Trying to think what else. Oh, there was, so not only do we have Kingsley playing confidently, playing well in the screen game, I've actually started to call it out in the press box where I'm like, oh, Brashard Smith's on one side of the field, there goes the screen for him.
Yeah.
Guys, you might want to key in on that. And the reason why you say that is, well, what's the wrinkle to that? Because they've showed it several times now on tape.
Last week it went to Kareem Hunt once, right? Wasn't it Hunt and Smith on the field together? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just interested to see what it's like, based on what he can do. Now, I know it's with backup offensive lineman shuffling with Gardner Minshew as the guy handing the ball off, but it was valuable that they actually said, you know what, we're just gonna hand you the rock and let you get tattered up a little bit. Let's see what it's like in the trenches. The picture's not always gonna be pretty.
Run into some 12-man boxes and see what you can do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that'll be beneficial for him as well, because he is a viable receiving threat, and the first guy usually doesn't bring him down, and that is quite the sort of scouting report that you would like to have this early in your career. Now, you said, Josh, Jerick McKinnon, and so I had to look it up. Jerick McKinnon, one of my favorite human beings. per Pro Football Reference was listed as 5'9", 209.
Okay.
And if you're wondering at home, kids, Brashard Smith, 5'10", 196.
Okay, I was thinking smaller, but he's an inch taller? That's fascinating. I didn't know that.
Let's just get him a couple more steaks while maintaining that speed, and we might have reincarnated Jarrett McKinnon in a couple years.
I'll take it. I think that sounds absolutely delightful. Let's hit the defense here real quick. It's harder to talk about because it's a Raiders offense with no Brock Bowers, no Jacoby Myers, and no Chance.
Jesus.
But like you have to give the Chiefs credit here on the front, and I know we're probably gonna have some questions in the comments about, again, Omar, who we'll hit on here in a second, and the trade market. I think we're gonna make a bigger meal of it on Thursday and then the week after for sure.
Yes.
On the trade front. But
yes,
you have to give the Chiefs credit for their first regular season shutout of the Andy Reid era, the first shutout of any sort with Steve Spagnuolo as the defensive coordinator here. We talk all the time about the Chiefs like blowing out bad teams and how it's just something we never expect to happen. the fact that I genuinely believe the Chiefs could have won this game with a field goal, like I don't think anything else about it would have changed, is really remarkable. They made a technical NFL football team that beat the Titans.
Yes.
They beat not the worst team in football so bad that it looked like varsity versus JV.
Yeah, and they were really engaged like a team that was playing its arch rival from a historical context. Not necessarily their top rival right now, but hey, this is a team that we've always hated. I'm on this side, they're on that side. I have a chance to put their face in the dirt multiple times.
Right.
I might as well just do that.
I might as well do it. I'm here anyway. I put these shoulder pads on this morning.
Hey, I mean, I think I wrote at one point in the third quarter that it was Drew Tranquil, Jalen Watson, and Brian Cook, who were stretching on the sideline while the offense was operating.
Funny.
Just you know, you know what? I need to stretch again because I haven't been out there much. But when they were out there mushing people, they did an excellent job again on Ashton Jincy. Even when
34 yards from scrimmage.
Even when the game got a little like wacky, and they're like, "Well, he's still their only weapon, so you know what? Smother him." To where Ashton Jincy was starting to question his teammates' heart, which was wild because it's 7 games into his rookie season. Like, if you read his comments after the game, it's like, oh, so you're saying the first round pick is questioning his teammates' heart and grit?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
On a week,
the very
on a week-to-week basis?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so they've just done everything they could ask to do. It was great for Chris Jones because he got so much time off, allegedly, in that game. Yeah, Gino not being willing to run or scramble, I thought said quite a bit about like, oh, he knows they're just outmatched today. So, did Spags? I didn't actually look this up, but I don't think Spags really had to blitz much.
I don't think so either. I feel like I saw one of those
I'll
stats
look it
go
up.
by. I didn't write it down, but well, while you look that up, I'll go ahead and give what we know right now. Omar Norman-Lott's season is over. The ACL that you may have feared was confirmed by you and others, Nate. It's obviously really disappointing on a few levels. In part that like he's a young player who has had a hard time staying on the field to start this season.
Yes.
But if he could have, as again you've reported and said a few times, he was on an upward trajectory in terms of what he was going to be asked to do.
Yep.
Again, we'll talk about the trade side of it all probably more on Thursday. But the Chiefs needed another body on the defensive line before Omar got hurt. And then that was at the assumption, I think, by the end of the season, he's starting next to Chris Jones. Now you're shopping around not just for a third or fourth defensive tackle, but your number 2 defensive tackles out of the mix, and you were already thin from DT 2 through 4. And now there are only 3 of them, literally 3 of them on the active roster. Marlon Tuipulotu got the practice squad elevation when Chris Jones was questionable with the funeral travel. Zach Pickens and Broderick Martin are on the practice squad.
Maple!
Hello, Maple. Thank you for your cameo. Maybe she wants to play some snaps. But
She sounds ready to go.
She does. Look, they wanted energy early in the season. Maple's got that. So Hopper does too. We want to sign 2 dogs. He's always in a 3-point stance, so you
Let's
can't
go.
Can't go 4-point for him. But Pickens and Martin are kind of funny because like if there were any other 2-year ago 3rd-round picks on the market, you'd be like, oh, that's exciting. They've been on the practice squad since the cut downs and everything. Trade for Mike Pennell. I don't know. What do you make of the DT rotation? And does Maple have any thoughts?
By the way, Chris Jones asked out loud on, what was it, Thursday? Hey, man, when can we get Mike Pennell back? Sir, I don't know if that's happening. Now, this is the moment for Jerry Tillery. Hey.
Yeah, true.
You wanted to play for a contending team, my friend. Guess what? You got 7 weeks. Now you're on. Now you're up, okay? Derek Dottie has first down. You have everything else. That's the way it works. And because they didn't blitz on Sunday, I would ask Marcus Mariota, who will likely be the starter for the Washington Commanders, to get in the film room because kids, now after looking it up, the the Raiders blitzed more than the Chiefs.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's
so on 6 blitzes, according to Next Gen Stats, Geno Smith went 2 for 6, 14 yards, pass rating of 42.4. His yards per attempt were 2.3. Get it out of my hand. I don't want to get hit. So look, and yes, Leo Chenal, your mugger, gapper, Stonewall. Hell, I'll be at the gates. You know, he seems like someone who just says, "Hey, Leo, yes, coach.
His position.
We might need you to play
at the gates." That's what it should say in the program. It should say Leo Chenal, ATG.
At the gates. Yeah. At the gates. All right, where do you want me to go, coach? It's like, hey, bud, you see that A gap? Yes, sir. Hey, can you, by the way, still one of my favorite things about Leo Chenal. Hey, man, that guy's going in the Hall of Fame for his receiving and his blocking. Can you, at the gates, yep.
At the gates.
George Kittle, welcome to Leo Chenal world.
I'll be there. You come
yes,
to the gates,
sir.
you enter Leo Chenal world.
You want to see an Ashby set? Get out of here, George Kittle. Come at me, Christian McCaffrey. Oh, by the way, you're going to fumble too. What? Sir?
I know it can't be that can't be true because of like breath control matters, but I do imagine that Leo Chenal is just screaming during every play. And I don't think that's how he does it, but it's the vibe
he's
the
so
vibe he gives
good.
off.
Yeah, so he's kind of like, yeah, he's like defensive on the depth chart. He's like, you know, Sam linebacker 1, defensive tackle 2.
Enforcer 1.
Edge rusher 3, enforcer.
Edge 3.
Edge 3, enforcer 1.
So maybe that's your answer. Leo, can you put on 100 pounds by the playoffs? I can try.
Coach, I can always put on weight. It's just, you know, how quickly do you need me to shed it? Can you shed it by the divisional round? You got it. I'm at the gates.
You'll be at the gates. Like we said, we'll talk more about the defensive tackle depth and the trade rumors that are going to be going around. We'll talk about that a little bit more on Thursdays. You mentioned Monday night game, so we'll have a little extra time. It'll be a day late in terms of pressers and stuff.
Right.
We'll start to hear from all of them on Thursday. We'll hear from Reid and Mahomes then. We'll get some injury updates. Trey Smith for sure. Juwan Taylor seems easy to go. I don't know if we'll have a Josh Simmons thing. We'll figure that out. And then I really do want to talk about the idea of the trade market right now, because you mentioned this on 96.5 today. I happened to be driving around in my car that may or may not be okay. We'll find out soon. I literally was sitting in the like mechanic parking lot listening to you guys. I was like, well, I'm gonna wait until this segment's over at least.
Yeah, that's how we do it, kids.
That's how you do it. That's the measure of a good segment. But I don't remember what I was talking. Oh, you're talking about the trade stuff.
Yeah.
One of the problems in the NFL right now is that everybody's basically 500. Like, there are a couple of exceptions at the top or the bottom, but like the bell curve of the league right now is so tight that I don't know when the Cardinals officially become sellers. Like, I think the seller of the AFC East probably is. The
Right.
Titans
Right.
probably are.
Correct.
The Saints probably are. But really, there's probably 4 or 5 teams in that category, and then probably 5 to 10 teams who might be in a different space 2 weeks from now. So we'll get more on that later. While Detective Nate Taylor takes us out. He's pulled his brim over his eyes.
You know, Josh, it's interesting that with today being the owners' meeting, there was a certain owner who held court with reporters saying, no, fuck Justin Fields.
Whoa!
And I love Aaron Glenn. And you know who been tweeting, Josh? You know who been tweeting? That's Jermaine Johnson music, my friend.
I'm ready to fall in love all over again. I did it pre-draft for no
Yep,
good reason. I'm ready to do it all over again.
We did it again, boys. We're back. Ready to buy her another drink.
And maybe have him throw in Justin Fields, add another guy to the running back room.
Sure. Hey, I know it didn't work out with Mr. Jet, and you know that's tough, baby. That's tough. I told you it was hard out here. But hey, it's happy hour. And deals are being made. And I'm just ready to fall in love all over again. You know? Jermaine, let me get you a drink. Let me get you a drink.
And if that doesn't work out, call the Eagles about Joshua Uche. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
I think Mr. Uche's